Hello, students. Welcome to our today's class in Language and Linguistics. Today we are going to see grammar and its types, and I am Dr. Renuka Devi, Assistant Professor from the PG and Research Department of English, Sri Sharda College for Women, Salem. Grammar. Grammar is a set of rules that govern the structure of a language. It dictates how words and phrases should be arranged to form a coherent sentences and convey meaning. Grammar covers various aspects of language, including word formation, sentence structure, punctuation, and the use of parts of speech such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, etc. It allows the speakers and writers to communicate effectively and ensures that the language is understood by its user. Linguistics have identified different types of grammar, each emphasizing various elements of linguistic structure and function. So let us now see the types of grammar one after the other. As a whole, grammar is a system of rules that allows us to structure a sentence. So first we have prescriptive grammar. So prescriptive grammar refers to a set of rules that dictate how language should be used according to standard norms. It is often associated with formal language usage and aims to establish clear and consistent standards for language. This type of grammar is used to prescribe rules for correct language use, particularly in formal settings such as writing, in education, and official communication. So, prescriptive grammar rules might insist that sentence should follow the subject verb object, that is SVO order in English, or that split infinitives should be avoided. So these here are some or certain rules that we have to follow while using the prescriptive grammars. So like between him and me. So between him and me and between he and I. So prescriptive grammar dictates that I should be used when following a preposition as between he and I, not as between him and me. Between him, if we use between him and me, it is considered as wrong in prescriptive grammar. So ending a sentence with a preposition. So prescriptive grammar often discourages ending sentence with prepositions, favoring phrases like that was the aeroplane on which I traveled rather than using that was the aeroplane which I traveled on. So we shouldn't end a sentence with a preposition. Next, we have split infinitives. So prescriptive grammar traditionally frowns upon split infinitives. For example, we shouldn't use too boldly go. Okay, we should use infinitives as it is, and we shouldn't add any words in between the infinitives. Between whom and who. Prescriptive grammar emphasizes using whom as the object of a verb or preposition. For example, to whom did you speak? And prescriptive grammar often considers abbreviation as incorrect and suggests using the full form, like we shouldn't use aren't or isn't. Instead, we have to use is not or are not instead of abbreviations. And it also neglects double negatives. So prescriptive grammar often disapproves of double negatives, like I did not see nothing. Okay, so not and nothing, so negative, we shouldn't use double negative in prescriptive grammar. So all these were certain examples and rules that we have to follow while using the prescriptive grammar. So second type of grammar is descriptive grammar. In contrast to the prescriptive grammar, descriptive grammar is concerned with how language is actually used by the speakers in everyday life. It describes the rules and structures that people follow in natural speech and writing without prescribing what is correct or incorrect. Descriptive grammar aims to objectively analyze and record the patterns and variations in language use, reflecting the way native speakers construct sentences in different contexts. Descriptive grammarians might note that in a casual speech, many English speakers use double negatives. For example, I don't need no help, even though this is not considered standard by the prescriptive grammar. On the whole, descriptive grammar focuses on how language is used by the native speakers rather than prescribing the rules. Here are some examples for the descriptive grammar. First, we have informal constructions. I ain't going nowhere. So, descriptive grammar accept this as a valid way of saying I am not going anywhere. Who are you talking to? So it accepts this as a valid way to ask, to whom are you speaking? I am faster than her. So descriptive grammar accepts this as a valid way to say, I am faster than she. So next we have double negatives. I don't have no money, as we have seen already. So descriptive grammar would analyze this as a valid informal way of expressing a negative statement. So variation in language use. He goes, which means he said. Where we at, descriptive grammar would analyze and accept this as an informal way of asking where are we. Focusing on actual usage, descriptive grammar examines how language is used in real life context, not just what textbook says. It embraces the organic, evolving nature of language. Example: Jack and me are going to the party too. So, descriptive grammar would analyze this as a valid, informal way of saying Jack and I are going to the party. The woman who I met looked sick. So, it accepts this as an informal way of saying the woman who I met looked sick. I saw me in the mirror and I looked good. So, descriptive grammar would analyze this as a valid, informal way of saying, I saw myself in the mirror and I looked good. So, descriptive grammar is concerned more about the actual way of the native speakers use a language rather than the set of rules that was prescribed in the prescriptive grammar. Next, we have generative grammar. Generative grammar is a theory developed by linguist Noam Chomsky that aims to define a set of rules capable of generating all possible grammatical sentences in a language while excluding ungrammatical ones. It focuses on the underlying cognitive structures that allow humans to produce and understand sentence. The goal of generative grammar is to understand the mental mechanisms that govern language use and to develop a formal model for linguist competence. That is, the innate knowledge a speaker has about their language. In generative grammar, the rules would account for complex sentence structures such as the dog that chased the cat is brown, and it would explain why this is grammatical, while, for example, brown dog, the cat chased the is not a grammatically correct sentence. Another famous example that will help you to understand better is colorless green ideas sleep furiously, which is grammatically correct and sound, but meaningfully it's nonsensical, demonstrating that this theory focuses on structure over meaning. At its core, generative grammar, pioneered by Noam Chomsky, argues that humans possess an innate capacity for language, a universal grammar, which allows them to learn and produce language. It emphasizes the underlying structure of language, focusing on how sentences are formed rather than just analyzing the existing sentence. This theory suggests that a grammar should be able to generate all and only the grammatical sentence of a language. As we have seen earlier, colorless green ideas sleep furiously. This phrase, created by Chomsky, is a classic example of grammatically correct sentence, but this is semiotically nonsensical, showcasing that the generative grammar's focus is only on the structure. Transformational grammar, also developed by Noam Chomsky, is a theory that focuses on the processes by which sentences can be transformed into different structures. It posits that there are basic structures, that is, deep structures, that can be transformed into a more complex structures, that is, surface structure, through a set of syntactic rules or transformations. Transformational grammar seeks to explain how languages allow speakers to express similar meanings in different ways, such as turning statements into questions or active sentences into passive ones. A simple statement like, "She is reading a book," can be transformed into a question, "Is she reading a book?" Or passive sentence, "A book is being read by her." Transformational grammar is a key concept in linguistics, posits that sentences have a deep structure and surface structure with transformations connecting them. So with a transformation, we can connect a deep sentence to convert a deep structure into a surface structure. Here are some examples. So active to passive, John read the book in the active form is transformed to the book was read by John in passive. George saw Mary is transformed to who saw Mary or whom did George see in a question form. I want to go is transformed to I do not want to go in a negation. Deep structure and surface structure. I know a man who flies planes is a surface structure derived from a deep structure like I know a man and the man flies plane. So the transformational grammar is focusing on the process by which sentence can be transformed into different structures. Functional grammar emphasizes the social function of language and how grammar serves to convey meaning in different communicative contexts. This approach, associated with linguists like Michael Halliday, views grammar not just as a set of abstract rules but as a system that enables speakers to express meaning in context. The purpose of functional grammar is to understand how grammatical structures fulfill different communication purposes, such as expressing relationships between people, actions, and things, or structuring information within a sentence. Functional grammar explores structures like themes, information flow, and the relationships between subject, verb, and object in a sentence in relation to its communicative context. For instance, in the sentence, John gave Mary the book, functional grammar would explore the roles of John, Mary, and the book in the communication process. So, functional grammar focuses on how language is used in real life context, emphasizing the meaning and purpose over strict grammatical rules as opposed to the traditional grammar. So here are some examples of functional grammar. So sentence functions. Functional grammar recognizes different sentence types based on their purpose, such as declarative, making a statement, interrogative, asking a question, imperative, giving a command, and exclamatory, expressing strong emotion. Example, the sun is rising, which is an example of declarative sentence. Are you going to park? Interrogative. Close the door. Imperative. Wow, that's amazing is an example of exclamatory sentence. So next we have grammatical function. So functional grammar examines the role of words and phrases within a sentence such as subject, object, verb, etc., and how they contribute to meaning. Example, in the sentence, the cat sat on the mat. Here, the word the cat is a subject and sat is the verb, and on the mat act as an object or a prepositional phrase. Connectors and cohesion. Functional grammar highlights how connectors, that is, the words like and, but, because, etc., create relationships between ideas and ensure the smooth flow in the text. Example, I went to the store, but it was closed. The word but create a contrast between the two ideas. Context and situation. So it recognizes that language use varies depending on the context on situations, such as formal versus informal language or language used in different professions. For example, you might use different language when talking to a friend versus when you're giving a presentation in a lecture. Systematic functional grammar, that is SFG, is a specific approach to functional grammar that emphasizes the relationship between language, meaning, and context. Example, it analyzes how language choices reflect the speaker's role, the purpose of communication, and the relationship between the speaker and the listener. So, as a whole, this grammar type emphasizes the social function of a language. Cognitive grammar is a theory that links language to human cognition, proposing that grammar is not a separate system but is deeply connected to the way we think. It suggests that the structure of language reflects the mental processes used to understand and interrupt the word. Cognitive grammar focuses on how meaning and structure are shaped by cognitive processes such as perception, attention, and categorization. It views grammar as emerging from our experience and conceptualizations of the world. Cognitive grammar explores concepts like metaphorical expressions, for example, a flood of emotions, and how spatial relations in language like under, over, around are grounded in our bodily expressions. The last type of grammar is called the lexical grammar. So, lexical grammar focuses on the relationship between words, that is, lexicon, and grammatical structures. It considers how words function within a sentence structures and how the meaning of words affects sentence formation. This type of grammar studies the internal structure of words and their role in sentences, emphasizing word categories, that is, knowing whether it's a noun, verb, or adjective, and their syntactic functioning. Lexical grammar looks at word classes such as run being a verb, that is an action word, while runner is a noun being a person or denotes a person who is running, formed by adding a suffix, showcasing the interplay between word formation and grammar. So, lexical grammar focuses on how words and phrases or the lexical items are used and combined to form sentences, emphasizing the role of meaning and word specific patterns. Here are some key concepts of lexical grammar. Lexical items. These are the basic units of language encompassing the words, parts of word like prefix and suffix, and multi-word expressions. Lexical patterns. Certain verbs, nouns, or adjectives tend to occur with a specific type of complements or modifiers. For example, the verb give often takes an indirect object to whom and a direct object what. Valency. This refers to the number and type of arguments, that is, for example, objective or complements a verb or other word requires. Lexical semantics, the meaning of words and how their meanings related to each other. Lexical functional grammar, LFG, a specific type of lexical grammar that analyzes the language by focusing on the relationship between the meaning and the form of words and phrases. So, lexical grammar focuses on the relationship between words and grammatical structures. To conclude, grammar is a fundamental component of any language, guiding how words are arranged and how meaning is conveyed. Different types of grammar reflect various approaches to study and understand language structure. While prescriptive grammar sets rule for correct language use, descriptive grammar documents how language is being used. Generative and transformational grammars focuses on the mental processes behind the language production, while functional grammar emphasizes the social functions of language. Cognitive grammar tries language structure to cognition, and lexical grammar examines the relationship between words and their grammatical roles. Understanding the various types of grammar helps linguists and language learners explore the richness of human language and its connection to thought, communication, and society. So here are a few questions for the discussion. Dash is the primary focus of prescriptive grammar. So prescriptive grammar is the grammar that defines a set of rules to be followed while using a language. So our answer is option B, how language should be used according to established rules. So second question, dash emphasize the rules and structure of language without regard for how people actually speak it. So the grammar that defines the rule is mainly the prescriptive grammar. So the answer is option C, prescriptive grammar. Third question, descriptive grammar is concerned with the actual usage of language by the native speakers in real context. Okay, how the speakers use the language. Okay, it does not care about the rules and regulations as it was given in the prescriptive grammar. So next we have dash is associated with generative grammar. So Noam Chomsky's theory of syntax, that is sentence structure, that is mainly focused in the generative grammar. So dash refers to the set of rules that can be generate all grammatically correct sentence in a language. It is generative grammar. So it focuses only on the generation of grammatically correct sentences. So, so we have given a few links for your future reference. Thank you, students.